With the firing of the Attorney General, and in my view, the improper installation of an acting Attorney General, the President now has this investigation in his sights.
Well, with that utterance, outgoing Senator Jeff Flake has perfectly summed up his career in the upper chamber. Despite zero evidence of any threat to the Mueller investigation, Flake is now saying he'll block the confirmation of highly qualified conservative judges across the land. Here now to react is former Whitewater independent counsel and judge himself, Ken Starr, and former Assistant U.S. Attorney and Fox News contributor Andy McCarthy. Andy, you think this bill that Flake and his newfound Democratic buddies are offering is unconstitutional? Explain.
Well, all of the authority in the Constitution in Article 2, all the executive authority is vested in the president. In our system, prosecution is an executive power. You cannot pass a constitutional bill that essentially takes away the president's executive power and the president's power to lead the executive branch and reposes it in someone else, whether it's the prosecutor himself or some other branch of government to oversee him. So the reason people oppose this, Laura, as a legal matter is that it's unconstitutional. But as a factual matter, as you suggest, this is pure grandstanding and theatrics under circumstances where there's no reason to believe there's any threat to the Mueller investigation.
And Judge Starr, think about the phenomenal, in many cases, young lawyers who have been waiting for confirmation. Appellate court judges, district court judges, military court. He just wanted to hold them all up.
Well, it's terrible. It really is. And I agree fully with Andy. There's no foreseeable threat. There just isn't. I understand that, wait, who is this Mr. Whitaker guy? And what did he say when he was a CNN commentator? But he's now the Attorney General of the United States. So it's regular order. And as you well know, Laura, there are processes within the Justice Department. So he will be consulting on these kinds of actions that could affect the investigation. So he's not a solo performer.
I want to talk about what's going on with the Whitaker appointment. And you have some conservative lawyers, including Kellyanne Conway's husband and others, who are saying this was completely unconstitutional and illegal to nominate or to appoint him as acting Attorney General because he's not been confirmed by the Senate. I want to play a montage of some of them. Let's watch.
Whitaker is effectively a constitutional nobody.
I think Matthew Whitaker's appointment was unconstitutional, illegal, and just plain wrong.
I just don't see any legal opinion that I can take seriously that counters this.
Judge?
Well, the Office of Legal Counsel is the set of constitutional lawyers. They are paid to look at these kinds of issues, and they concluded in a very careful memorandum. It's 30 pages long. People may disagree with it. I think it happens to be correct. This isn't whether it was wise to appoint Mr. Whitaker. It is, was it lawful? I think it clearly was under a specific statute passed by Congress that permits the president to do exactly what he did.
Andy, I want to go to you on this. This is what, on Shep's show earlier today, Judge Napolitano was saying about this very issue and the OLC's ruling on the Whitaker appointment.
I was very disappointed to see the lawyers who work for Matthew Whitaker go back to 1866 and look for a precedent there to decide whether or not he was lawfully appointed. I don't care what happened in 1866 because the Congress changed the law in the 1960s and said whoever runs the Justice Department has to be nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate because we put too much power in their hands. That kind of power can't go to a political hack.
Okay, well, political hack.
Yeah.
He was a federal, U.S. attorney in Iowa. But your thoughts on what Judge Napolitano said there?
Yeah, I was disappointed to hear my friend Judge Napolitano suggest, well, I was disappointed to see that he doesn't seem to really understand how the Office of Legal Counsel works. But, you know, what they do is things like go back to the precedents that go back to the founding of the country and to the Constitution, particularly, Laura, when it's a constitutional claim being made. I understand Judge Napolitano's point that the statute is from 1998, but the statute is not what people are complaining about. It's whether this application of the statute is constitutional or not. And one of the ways that constitutional lawyers go about making that analysis is to go back through the history of the United States and see where this situation has come up again and how it's been handled.
Judge, you think Mueller's going to wrap this thing up, the special counsel up by the end of the year?
I think so. The indications are that we're moving along, but apparently there may be a couple more indictments along the way. But I think we're ready for there to be a wrap.
Yeah, like Jerome Corsi and Roger Stone. I mean, we're getting to these, like, perjury. I mean, it's this process. Yeah, we'll see.
I'll say this. Let's don't lie to the prosecutors.
No,
Bad idea.
Not a good idea. Guys, thank you so much.